Hey, Donna Price here. Welcome to Visionary Womenpreneurs Radio, where we talk with incredible women making a difference in the world. I'm your host, Donna Price, with Compass Rose Consulting, and I am thrilled that you have joined me today. Visionary womenpreneurs are visioning with purpose, strategizing to have an impact in their communities and in the world, taking consistent action to make it happen, focused on accelerating their profitability and succeeding as womenpreneurs. And we have an incredible visionary womanpreneur with us today. I am thrilled to have Myoshia Boykin-Anderson with me today. And we're going to be talking about African American women in tech. She truly represents the American dream. As a native Houstonian and a proud graduate of Yates Senior High School, Myoshia saw some of life's most difficult times, but she didn't let that stop her from striving for a better future. In November 1998, with no savings and no college degree, Myoshia got her first taste of entrepreneurship by starting her first company. She was able to grow it to a multi-six-figure operation before closing it in 2007. After taking the lessons learned from that experience, she launched her second company in January 2009. She is now the award-winning founder and CEO of one of the leading IT consulting companies in the country, AndTech Solutions, LLC. Over the past 11 years, under her leadership, AndTech has grown into a multi-seven-figure consulting firm providing custom application development and other technology services to some of the top U.S. companies and organizations. They've implemented health plans responsible for managing over 56 million members across 25 states and consulted with small businesses in creating custom application solutions to meet their technology challenges. What makes this even more impressive is that she has done this with grit and hard work as a self-made businesswoman, womanpreneur with no formal higher education or college degree. She also is proud to hold several certifications: Women's Business Enterprise, Minority Business Enterprise, and Historically Underutilized Business certifications. She sits on the executive board of CSTEM, an organization whose mission is to inspire the next generation of innovators and thought leaders. Welcome to Visionary Womenpreneurs Radio. Great. Well, welcome to Visionary Womenpreneurs Radio. I'm so thrilled to have you coming to us from Texas. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much for having me, Donna.
I have I been to Texas? I've been to Austin. That's it. For my daughter.
That's not actually far from us. I am actually about 2.5, maybe 3 hours from Austin. Beautiful place.
Yeah, I went to a conference there once, and I said it was my first time in Texas, and they said, "You're not in Texas. You're in Austin." So I don't know if that's really true, but I've been there a couple times now, and it was beautiful.
Yeah, Austin is a place in and of itself. I love visiting our state's capital. It's amazing, actually.
Yeah, our favorite building in Austin was the library. It has one of the coolest libraries. My daughter was like, "I could live here."
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've actually heard that sentiment before.
So, I know today we were going to talk about African American women in tech, and you're a visionary leader in women in tech, and your story is so incredible because this is your second business, and you've grown it to be this incredibly successful business. And one of the things that we talk about at Visionary Womenpreneurs is just the impact as womenpreneurs that we make when we go into business on our families, our communities, and the world. And you seem like you are leading the way with your company. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been an amazing journey. It really has been. I am very proud of where we are today, but I'm even prouder about where I see the business going and the impact that does create.
Definitely. And so, I mean, talk a little bit about your company and like how you got it started and what what you all are doing. Because when I read your intro, it said that you're supporting 56 million. Like that was just a huge number, and I was like, whoa. So that's a huge impact that you're having. So tell us a little bit about your company.
Yeah, yeah. So the name of my business is AndTech Solutions. I am the proud single owner of the business, and like I said, it's just been this amazing journey. My journey into entrepreneurship did not happen voluntarily. I'll say that it was very much an involuntary situation. I found myself, so as you mentioned, this is my second business. So
Yeah.
my journey into entrepreneurship started in 1998. I was a young single mother at the time, and working on the job that I thought was it for me, right? I was excited about the job, and it was, it was just a really great thing. I was still in the tech space. So just being in that space was amazing in itself for me. But one day my supervisor came into the office and told me that they had decided to close the office. It literally devastated me. I didn't have any savings. I'm a single, young mother, and I was living paycheck to paycheck. And to get served that news was literally devastating to me. And while I allowed myself to feel all of those emotions, I quickly had to come to myself and say, listen, nobody will ever be able to put me in this position again.
Yeah.
And that's literally how the journey towards entrepreneurship started. It didn't actually happen for me until 9 months later.
Yeah.
But on that day, I decided that I was going to put into motion the plan that would allow me to set myself up for success in my future, so that nobody else would be able to have that impact on me, to determine how I would generate revenue for my family, and all of that. So that was how it started. So very not quite traditionally, and it wasn't, oh, I've always dreamed of being an entrepreneur.
Right.
That wasn't necessarily my story. But I will tell you, from that time, I have literally dedicated myself and my life into growing into where I find myself today, with this very successful, by all intents and purposes, a very successful tech consulting and strategy company that is generating multi-million dollars in revenue every year, but is being able to create this impact not only in the company and for the team of resources that I have working for me, but in my family and in my extended family and in my community, and also the community of other entrepreneurs out there, being able to put in front of young women, and even those mature women that have been on this journey for quite some time, but to be able to stand in front of them as an image of what is possible,
Yeah.
right? So it's quite rewarding for me.
Definitely. And I would think that your experience impacts how you operate your company and the values that you operate your company with.
It definitely does. It definitely does, and it's very intentional for me. It's very intentional for me to make sure that I am first and foremost a model,
Yeah.
in front of the young and old staff that I have, because my team is very diverse, from a chronological perspective, but also from from a, a background perspective and all of that. So my team is very diverse, but it's important for me to be very intentional about the core values of the business and what that means, because it's my passion work, right? It's my passion work to be able to be, a role model to some, and to be a mentor to some, and a coach to some. Again, just all around the theme of what is possible.
Right. Yeah. I found that life experience really has an impact on how you operate. And for me, in one of my jobs, if I was doing that job now, I would do it differently, because my life experience now as a parent would impact how my perception of my staff, that were parents. And, so I think it's really valuable to bring those experiences and operationalize them. So, we all do that in our businesses.
Yes, definitely.
So your company is a technology company. And so what are some of the ways that your clients have used custom technology? Because you do custom technology. I don't know if I even totally know what that means, but, but how does that help them save time, money, resource?
Yeah, and that's exactly what we do. We create technical solutions, and because we are very custom in what we provide, our services has ranged, the whole gamut. We have projects where we have clients that just want us to maybe automate some of the spreadsheets that they use every day, right? So we create solutions that would allow them to take a 12-step process and roll it into one button that we've placed on their toolbar, right? So in those instances, we say we provide solutions that would make Microsoft Excel turn cartwheels, right? So right, it could be something as simple as that, which in all honesty doesn't, even end up being simple, because we are literally taking your process and we are looking at everything that you're doing, and we are creating automation around that. And we love the whole idea of a one button solution.
Yeah.
And we try to provide that for our clients. Let's see how much of this we can roll into one button that you click on and stuff just happens, right? So from that perspective, all the way to developing custom, very custom websites or mobile applications for our clients. We've developed full-blown software programs for our clients because they haven't been able to find that tool on the shelves, right?
Yeah.
They've probably been using 7 or 8 different apps, because 1 is really good here, and 2 is really good here, and 3 is really good there, but nothing that creates an opportunity for these applications to talk to each other and all of that. So we may have to develop a whole solution for them. But we also provide those services that would allow those apps, if you choose to continue to use those different apps, how can we make them integrate and communicate with each other? Because we do a lot with reporting and data and making sure that folks can see that. So, and we've also worked a lot in the corporate space too. And that's where that big impact comes, right? That 56 million that you talked about was, was primarily because we work with Fortune 500 companies to create systems that allow them to manage their business. And our reach has been so great in that space that's what it creates, this impact that would allow our clients to make this greater reach out there nationally and globally, quite honestly.
Wow. So you're talking to somebody that last night spent hours just trying to figure out formulas in an Excel spreadsheet and get them to work correctly. And a button would have been so helpful.
Oh yeah. And I've seen it so much, and I think that, as entrepreneurs and small businesses, we, especially those that have been exposed to maybe corporate America or whatever, small businesses don't believe that they can afford the
Right.
technological solutions that big companies do. And our vision is to make sure that we bring that same level of expertise and experience that we provide in corporate America, that we provide those types of services to entrepreneurs, because as entrepreneurs and small businesses, we can be so much more successful if we were able to leverage the power of technology, right? And
Definitely.
to know that it's able, we provide services. Let's just take your challenge last night, for instance. We provide services that are one-off for our clients. So we could probably come in and with those hours that you kind of fussed and fought with those formulas, you know, we may be able to fix the issue in 3-4 hours, and it would allow you to save hours if you look at it over the next several weeks and months, and how that's going to look annually for you, right? So just being
Definitely.
that power down to the entrepreneur and the small business.
Yeah, because we definitely all have those challenges of working with different software technologies that don't play nice together, and then trying to figure out like how to get them to work together. And you can go down this technology rabbit hole of, and if you don't have the knowledge, like I have more knowledge than I ever imagined having, but
Mhm.
it's still very basic.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
it's not in the like it's not in the code at all. Like that's just, it's all on the surface, and you're limited what you can actually do, um,
yeah.
from where I am. But so that's great. So one thing I wanted to talk about was some of the ways that you've had to overcome barriers or stigmas as a minority and a woman coming into tech space, which is um, predominantly male, I would
Yep.
think, and probably white male predominantly. So, what are some of the things that you had to overcome?
Yeah, and as you can imagine, there have been several, over the years, right? I believe that my journey has been nothing short of just, sheer amazement, really, when I sit back and look at it, because this is a space. This tech space is a predominantly white male space,
Yeah,
and to be able to not only break through the doors as a woman, but also as an African American woman, right?
right.
It has been quite the uphill battle, but I am proud to say that I stand in that space today. So I'll tell you a little bit about my journey, and then I'll tell you about this neat little meme that I saw the other day, right? I forgot where it was, but somewhere online on social media or something.
Great.
And it was a cartoon, and it was like a track and field, kind of thing. So there
Yep.
was this 100-yard dash, and in the left lane there was an elderly white male in a suit, and he was, down in the position to take off, right? And on his track there were just three little hurdles. They were very far spaced out, and there was a clear path to the finish line, right?
Yep.
And in the right lane, it was so funny because there was an African American woman, also in a suit, and she was in position to take off. But her path I think it had some bomb explosions. It had some like grenades on it. It had hurdles with little spikes on it, and it had little craters and holes and all of that stuff. And the idea was that the finish line is the finish line, right?
Yep.
But for some, the challenge of getting to the finish line is greater than others. And that one cartoon image really depicts my journey. So I grew up in Houston, Texas, in inner city, the hood for all intents and purposes. I grew up in an area called Third Ward, and I'll tell you, one of the reasons why I believe so strongly in the voice that I have today. I'll share this with you, especially in the state of where our country is, and with all of the injustice and and the momentum that is having right now. And it all, at least in current day, just for the past 5, 6 months or whatever, it's all, kind of been sparked by the George Floyd story. Well, George Floyd and I grew up in the same neighborhood.
Wow.
We walked the same streets. We went to the same schools from elementary all the way to high school.
Yeah.
We shared the same teachers. I mean, just literally, we grew up together. He was a couple of years younger than I am, but we grew up together. And it was funny because our second grade teacher was actually on CNN talking about that. But I say that to say that, you know, no matter where you start from, your story and your journey can be so much different.
Right.
It takes dedication, yes. It takes hard work, yes. And I really say that as an inspiration to those who feel like all they see in front of them is you know the opposite of success, or the opposite of opportunity, or the opposite of chance.
Yeah.
But I will say that everything is possible, no matter what the start of your story looked like. We can all rewrite that story.
Mm-hmm.
For every challenge that's been placed in front of me, for every door that's been closed in my face, for every table that did not have a chair for me, for all of those situations, I was able to overcome those. But and not only by my own personal sheer will or whatever. I am unapologetically a Christian, and I truly believe in the power, um, and what having a relationship with God has meant in my life, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I say that to say that all of these things have contributed to me being able to have the beginnings that I started with.
Yeah.
To have a child early and out of wedlock and all of that stuff, have never been to college, and to be able to break into this tech space, because I've been very intentional and very strategic about the steps that I took and the leaps that I made over every hurdle that was placed in front of me, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the no college degree, because we live in this world where our kids are told you have to go to college to succeed, and you have to have a college degree. And so you've done this without doing that. And so talk a little bit about that. I think that there's other people in tech that have also done that. And I always think of the tipping point by Gladwell, where he talks about that 10,000 hours, and I used to tell my kids about that, but, so I think that there's ways to move without that college degree, but we've kind of drummed it into everyone's heads that, like, you have to have it. And,
Yeah. I will say that, I have two amazing children now, and my husband and I, really instilled in our children, the importance of education and things like that. We
yeah,
also, because I truly believe that, part of my journey would have probably been a little easier, probably with the college degree. But so from two different spectrums, I really encouraged my kids to excel academically, to make sure they went to college, and both of them did. They both got their undergrads. Both of my children got their master's and MBA degrees, and now my son was just accepted into the PhD program at UGA. So while I believe in academia and all that it can do for you, if that happens to not be your path, that does not make you less than. So for all of those out there listening right now, if college did not end up being part of your life plan for whatever reason, right? For whatever reason, know that that does not mean that you can't be and do and have and see and experience everything that everybody else does, right? So the key, I believe, is making sure that you determine what your plan is going to be and you work that plan and you show up as the best version of yourself that you can at all times, right? So do not let the lack of a degree hinder you from taking that leap into entrepreneurship or scaling that business further and greater than where you are now, because you still, I believe that we are all equipped with everything that we need to make it.
Definitely. We're just entering the college world. I have a daughter that's going to college in 3 weeks. And my younger daughter, we were doing college tours. We're not doing college tours right now, but I agree. Like, I told both of them, you don't have to go to college. Like, you can go to college. Like, that's a choice that you can make. But I also tell young people to apply for every college you're interested in, even if you think you can't afford it.
Oh, yes.
Because, like, you just don't know what that college has to offer to you. And like, so go for it. Go for that dream if that's the dream. But yeah, kids are getting so many messages about all the shoulds and and some of the, like, you can't, like, you'll never get in there. It's just like, you won't if you don't apply.
That's right. I mean, and listen, what's the worst that they can say? All they can do is say no.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you, I'm a firm believer. I have gotten enough no's in my lifetime. I am a firm believer that no's are not the end of it. So, so the worst they could say is no, but that doesn't mean that there's not a yes out there for you. And
Right.
that no is probably a not now, So not letting those no's. And once you remove that fear, I call it the fear of failure or whatever. But once you remove that, then it allows you to go after whatever you want, even if you ultimately don't end up getting it the way you thought you should get it. Go after it. Go after it, because the worst anybody can say to you is no, and that's not even the worst. I mean, it's the least.
Yeah.
It's the least they could say is no. So yeah, I'm a true believer in it. Go after it. Go after it. If you want it, go after it.
Definitely, I agree. And I think as an entrepreneur, you had to have had faced some no's along the way, creating your company, and persisted to keep that dream moving forward.
Yeah, it's part of the story of how I got started, right? So I talked about, my manager coming in, telling me that they were going to close the office. So while that was a very devastating point in my life, and this was in February of 1998, I realized that not only was I now going to be out of a job, but all of the clients that I was servicing in my role at that company, they were now going to be out of a service provider. Mm-hmm. So what I did was I took the list of all of those clients, and of course my immediate responsibility was to go out and find another job. Right. But what I did was I started calling all of the people on that list. And, my conversation went a little like this. Hey, it's Myoshia. I'm sorry about what happened, with them closing the office, but do you have any projects that you need help with, right? And literally, Donna, every one of them told me no. Every one of them told me no. But instead of taking that no as the ultimate rejection, my response was, would you mind if I gave you a call next month?
Yeah.
And some of them said yes, some of them said no. But I made those phone calls, and the list kept getting smaller and smaller, as you can imagine, because some would say no, don't call me next month. And some would say yes. But I made those phone calls from February until November.
Wow.
So sticking to it and
Yeah.
not letting no be the end of your pursuit, right?
Yeah.
So February all the way to November, I started with a list of 63. And by November, the list was down to 16. But I kept making those phone calls. And in November, making those phone calls, I was halfway through my list. And the response was, as a matter of fact. So all of those no's, I had been served for 9 months. And then one of them said, as a matter of fact. And on those 5 words, literally, that's how I started my business.
Yeah. Well, I think that's such a valuable lesson for people that you need to, as an entrepreneur, keep following up and stay front of mind, because people aren't, like you found, necessarily ready to buy or, want your service at that moment. But then 8 months later, whatever that turns out to be, when they do need the service, if you're not there, they're going to hire somebody else.
Yeah.
And it's in that follow-up and that consistency and that willingness to risk that you end up with a company that is successful.
Yeah. I truly believe that. Just sticking with it. And I just feel like being able to do that and being able to elevate your mind to think like that is what's going to help you be successful.
So any other impactful pieces of advice that you would have for entrepreneurs that are just starting out or struggling to help them?
Yeah, and I have 3 really big ones, and two of which I've already alluded to, but one is definitely recognizing the opportunity in every situation. Especially during times like these, we oftentimes, especially as entrepreneurs, unfortunately, when you look at the data, there are so many small businesses that have not been able to sustain themselves throughout this pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, there are going to be some that are not going to be able to come out of this.
Yeah.
So what we have to do is, number one, find the opportunity. Is business going to be different for you now? Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Are your services going to have to be modified a little bit? Yes, they are. Will you have to push a little bit harder and work a little? Yes, you will. But look at the opportunity and go after that. So that's number one. Number two is being persistent. Like we just discussed, making sure that you continue to forge forward, even with the no's, even with the door shut, even with not having a seat at the table, all of those things. Keep being persistent. If you believe in yourself and in the product or service that you are offering, persistently and intentionally and strategically keep forging forward. And then lastly, number 3 is really just being resilient, knowing that we are going to have challenges as women, definitely. And if you have any other societal stigmas to you, or any other minority attributes to you, whatever it may be, know that we have to be resilient, and resilience is what's going to win the race. in spite of and despite of, resilience will win the race. Stick to it, and know that there is so much more out there for you.
Definitely. I love all of those. Those are great. And I wanted to make sure that we talk about where people can get in touch with you, which we'll,
Yeah.
of course, have in the show notes. But what's the best place for people to find you?
Two places, actually. One is our website, and that is andtechllc.com. So andtechllc.com. And then we just started, Donna. Actually, I just started with, as we've been going through this pandemic, we've just started a private Facebook community where we talk about, leveraging the power of technology. So the name of the Facebook group is Business Empowerment Through Technology. The acronyms is BET. So I often, I go live in the group every day and I share all of these tips. And I'm always saying, you bet, because you can truly be empowered and your business can be empowered through technology. So that's the Facebook group, Business Empowerment Through Technology. So those are the two places, the best places for folks to reach me. I'm also on the other social media platforms under my name. Instagram, it's Miss Myoshia, and LinkedIn, it's Myoshia Boykin-Anderson. So I would love to just hear from you guys and engage with you guys out there. So I'm super excited about it.
Definitely. Well, we'll include all of those links in the show notes for people, and be sure to be in touch. And the Facebook group sounds incredible because we're all using technology, and so many businesses in the pandemic are using technology more than they ever imagined, and using new technology that they hadn't previously used. But part of what's really cool about technology is just how it can empower your business to shift and change with what's going on in the world, and become an online business or do more business online than you were before. So definitely, I'm definitely going to check out your group. And I encourage others.
I welcome you. Yes.
To do that. I had one last question for you about balance, because you have this really successful company that sounds big, but how do you maintain balance as an entrepreneur and a woman and a mom and a partner, all the different hats that we wear?
Yeah, because we do wear a lot. Oh my goodness. I'll tell you a couple of things. One, from a business perspective, I have truly understood the value of team, right?
Yeah.
So I spend a lot of time investing in a team of resources that can run the show even without me, right?
I love that.
So, and I'm actually intentionally building a team to run the show without me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to train them to take my job, right? So, but being able to build a team, and that team, I speaking specifically to entrepreneurs out there in small businesses, that team doesn't have to be big, right?
Right.
That team doesn't even have to be full time. Get the help that you need so that you're able to then go into these next steps that I talk about from a balance perspective. So build the team, get the help that you need, right? So that's number one. Number two is that, as you know, I've been married now for 11 years. And number two for me is being very intentional and strategic about being present, right? As an entrepreneur, we work all the time, right? I used to say I work 25/8, right? So we work all the time. But and although, my family and I, we've taken vacations and we vacation everywhere, but everywhere we go, I'm working.
Right.
And I had to realize that I had to stop and make sure that I was present in the moment. I was physically there, but I wasn't present.
Yeah.
So that's number two, making sure that you're present for the people that mean the most to you. And then thirdly, it may sound cliche-ish, but self-care is so important. So I make sure that I take time to, have my tea breaks and really just stop and sit with myself. I intentionally move from the city to the lake so that I can be around water, which calms me.
Yeah.
I can literally, with the power of technology, I can literally be outside on my dock on a conference call that can be super stressful and, all of that stuff, but the water will calm me, which means that my responses to my team and my clients or anybody else on the other line, my responses are now a little bit softer and a little bit, better, because I'm able to care for myself and reduce that stress. Because after all, guys, success is nothing if we are not healthy enough and in the mind space to appreciate it and enjoy it, right?
Right.
So those are my 3 tips from a balance perspective.
Oh, I love it. Thank you. Well, again, reach out to Myoshia and be in touch with her. Join her Facebook group. Go to her website, AndTechLLC.com. And thank you so much for being here. It's been a thrill to have you on Visionary Womenpreneurs Radio.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to Visionary Womenpreneurs Radio. We can be found on all the major podcasting platforms such as Spotify, Google Podcasts, iPodcasts, Overcast, Stitcher, and Anchor, our host. I encourage you to download the platform that you love and listen to Visionary Womenpreneurs. Hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss an episode. And thanks for being one of our valued listeners. If you haven't had a chance to pick up the Visionary Womenpreneurs Field Guide yet, you can do so over at visionarywomenpreneurs.com. Right on our homepage, get that field guide and get started putting your vision and dream into action and make it happen.